the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
All right, guys, welcome back to The View from C-Deck. We're here to talk about the Buckeyes against the performance against Toledo this past Saturday night, but also preview Wisconsin game coming up here this coming Saturday. Finally, Big Ten action. Finally, a good team. Maybe Notre Dame was supposed to be. Maybe Wisconsin is. But this weekend, that Buckeye offense finally looked like what we were expecting the whole damn year. That was what we were looking for, baby. One of the greatest offensive performances in the history of the school. Second most yards, I believe, like second most or third most passing yards. It was crazy. Toledo came in giving up like 5 points a game and like 200 yards a game against really bad competition, which is going to bring up something we talk about Michigan later. But Casey, what do you think about Saturday night there, watching the Buckeyes run up and down the field in the shoe?
Yeah, like you said, I loved it. I mentioned to you previously in a text, I was just keeping track of their stats, where they rank in the country, and I didn't even write those down, but they were something like, I think they were like 45th or something like that in total yards. And that one game, boom, goes to number one.
Yeah.
And then in points, they were like 60th, and they're all of a sudden 10th.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, this is the first time they've been quote unquote full strength. I mean, Jackson and Fleming only played half the game, and that was even not really the full half.
Say Fleming played a lot. Jackson only played like 3 series, I think.
He played like 12 snaps, something like that. So, I mean, Toledo, like people say, oh yeah, it's Toledo, but I mean, nobody has scored 77 points this year against anybody. So, and like you said, they were 4th in the country in defense. That dropped all the way down to like 80th. Yeah. So it's not like there's elite defense, but they're not Hawaii or UConn. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. They're going to compete for the MAC.
Definitely.
That quarterback, I mean, he's the real deal. I mean, he's not the best passer, but I'm not sure we're going to see an athletic quarterback like that. And I mean, I guess until Michigan, he's more athletic than.
I was about to say he's a better athlete than McCarthy is.
Now, as far as better quarterback, I wouldn't say that, but you could argue he might be a better quarterback than any quarterback we face until McCarthy.
I think he is. I mean, part of that's bashing the Big Ten, but I think McCarthy will be. That's the closest thing we're going to see to him before we play for sure. Yeah, he was a stud. That's what I'll take away for Toledo is that dude was a stud. Their big running back had a pretty nice game too for when they gave him the ball, which I think he's also helped though by having the running quarterback back there that you can't focus on. You get a safety trying to tackle a 250-pound running back with legs that I believe thicker than your entire body. It makes it hard. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about this offense that besides Travion going down, it was a perfect night. Stroud now leads the country in touchdown passes, tied for the lead with 0. He's second in quarterback rating, but the guy ahead of him is only throwing like 30 passes.
Yeah.
That's legit. He's right back. I mean, Stroud's right back. I think he's the favorite for the Heisman again now.
And I'd say, I mean, they won by 50 points or whatever they won by, but Young had 2 picks. Like, he didn't have the greatest game. Caleb Williams is actually probably number 2 at this point, just because their offense is so high-powered, and they're not going to be playing the schedule that Alabama does. I mean, not that their schedule's murder's row or anything, but they got a legit chance. Even if they go 11-1 and then win the Pac-12, they're probably going to make the playoff, I would think.
I think they lose to Utah.
Yeah, they could.
That would be the one that I would guess they'd lose.
It'd be tricky, like does a 1-loss Pac-12 champ go over a 1-loss SEC loser? That'll be a big debate if that happens. But yeah, Stroud looked great, but just offense is obviously nothing to complain about at all. But I'd say to the defense, there's obviously complaints all the time, no matter how they look. But the one thing I would say, like the secondary definitely didn't look great at times, but if you look at it, it's almost like I don't want to say Knowles is assuming we're going to win, but he pretty much knows our offense is going to score some freaking points in these last couple games. So I feel like he's trying some things out, seeing what works, what might not work. And then second half, he buttons shit up. I mean, if you look at the points we've given up, 43 total points, I believe, and 10 of those are in the second half.
Yeah.
And 0 or fourth quarter.
That's what he was known for coming in. Oklahoma State fans were all saying, like, Jim Knowles' second half adjustments are like two peas in a pod. Yeah. Also talking about back to the offense real quick, though. C.J. Stroud ran a read option correctly and ran the ball, pulled it and ran it, and got himself lit up. And so I thought to myself, I was like, great, he finally did it. It's on film. Now we need to do it enough that people respect it on film. But I see maybe why they don't have him do it, because it's not that graceful. He also had another scramble, I believe.
He had ugly.
He tried to slide, and it looked like a monkey trying to fuck a doorknob. Like, what's going on out there?
I'm with you though. If he can do 2 of those a game, just 2 runs, maybe 3, like if they're not respecting it and like say it's like second long, like second 15, because we get a stupid penalty or whatever, and they're giving the receiver like 7 yards, but you can run for 10. Just freaking do it.
Yeah. Well, not even that. I mean, I'm more on the read option stuff. I think one of the hindrances to the running game we've seen with Haskins and now Stroud is that when you don't have a quarterback you have to respect in a spread offense and you run read zone plays, it doesn't have to be a read, just a zone blocking scheme, it becomes easier for the defensive ends to crash down and not respect the quarterback, and it makes it harder to just run the ball like when you need to. Like, that's been the complaint. When we need the yards, we haven't been able to get it. And part of it's also been that we've had a bunch of tackles playing guard in both those seasons. Not this year, though, and we've been running the ball real well. Down Hayden. Great game. They played it safe and took Mayan out in the second half after Travion got hurt, just to make sure we didn't get both our backs hurt. And Hayden came through big. He reminds me of Antonio Pittman a lot. That he's not the biggest guy, but he's strong for his size, and he's not the fastest guy, but he's pretty damn fast. And he just once he sees the hole, he puts his foot down, he goes through it. Like, that's what you need. That's what you need when from a third string back. That's all you can ask for. And
how about McAfee coming in third and 15? They're just like, yeah, we feel sorry for you guys. We'll let you have the ball one more time.
He went Bo Jackson and Tecmo Bowl on that play.
I don't know how many tackles you can claim he broke with that big cluster, but if that's like 3 or 4, then he had like 7 missed tackles on that play.
It was pathetic tackling too. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
especially at the end.
But I would say it definitely. There's been a little bit of negative talk about Alford in the recent years, but I'd say this shows that we actually have some solid depth, even though we hit the home run every time.
I don't think as a coach anybody's been talking. It's been recruiting until he Travion landed. See, we had all those misses on Bijan and those guys the year before. We end up with just Mayan Williams. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, he's shown that you don't necessarily have to recruit the best guys every single year. If you get one every once in a while, great. But you miss and you get, like you said, mine was like the number 400. He wasn't even a top 300 recruit.
Yeah.
And he, I'm fine. Like, it'll suck. Don't get me wrong. If Henderson's not in, but I'm fine for right now. I'm completely comfortable with him and Hayden carrying them.
Me too. 3 receivers over 100 yards too. First time since long ago, Michigan State last year. God, we're just spoiled. Defensively, yeah, like you said, besides the corners, maybe giving up some stuff. We had some guys sitting out too. Mike Hall didn't play, who's been our best defensive lineman by a wide margin so far this year. Proctor didn't play. They were just keeping things, letting everybody get themselves ready and prepared for this stretch to open Big Ten play. And get ourselves prepared too, because not too much more to talk about in that game. Wisconsin, Bucky rolling into town. It's a blackout now. I don't know how you feel about that stuff. Black jerseys, everything. I'm not about the gimmicks for Ohio State.
If it works for recruits,
it's good for recruits. Keon Keeley coming back to Ohio State again. Yeah, let's get. He seems like a Bama guy to me. I'm digressing here a bit in the recruiting, but he seems like a Bama guy to me. Like just the way he's built, the way his background is. But man, he looks like a freaking stud if we can get him up here.
He does, and the fact that he's coming back again, at least that means that he hasn't made his mind up yet. You know what I mean?
No, this is on his dime too. That was an official for the Notre Dame game. But anyway, we digress. Bucky comes into town though off a big win they had. Well, big in terms of score, not against opponent. After having an early season loss to Washington State when they couldn't run the ball against a pretty stout defense, similar to the one I think we're going to show them on Saturday. But this should be the biggest test of the season so far. Braden Allen's definitely the best offensive player we played against so far, even though he's limited by their offense around him, I think. Graham Mertz, solid passing quarterback, but hasn't turned. They're not developing quarterbacks there. They just aren't, because they don't have a passing offense that they can really rely on, or receivers, I guess. Yeah. But they do bring Jim Leonard in that 3-4 multiple type defense. I respect him a lot. I respect their defense a lot. I think most of the time when they struggle, it's when they've been worn down, because their offense gets into a rut when they can't overpower their opponent in the trenches. But I think that's what they're in for again this Saturday. They haven't beat us since, I believe, 2010 when we were number one and we lost there in Camp Randall. That's right.
We lost back-to-back years to them.
Yeah. They were a pain in our ass from about Ron Dane in 1999 until about 2010.
It was before 09 that I'm talking about, because I was in high school and I remember I missed one of the games because I was
03-04. 03 they beat us for first loss. That broke our huge winning streak that we won the national title on. And then 04 they kicked our teeth in. That was my freshman year. And we were not good. And they beat our ass. But around that time, we were probably about 500 in that series. Since then, we have dominated, even beating Russell Wilson with the 2011 terrible 6-7 team on a last-second Hail Mary by Braxton Miller to Devin Smith. But, I think it's their problem is with us is their problem against every top-flight team is they're a bunch of 3-star recruits playing against a bunch of 5-star recruits. And they're coached up well, and they have a scheme that they've they stick with it. So the continuity works well. They're super well coached on defense, and they get good athletes on defense and NFL talent on defense. But they have NFL offensive linemen, obviously, and running backs. But the quarterbacks and wide receivers leave much to be desired, and it's always been what's held them back against teams like Ohio State that just can out talent them, that they can't push around in the trenches. And I don't think they'll be able to do that Saturday night. I wouldn't be stunned if they have a little success early, because these bigger backs we've played so far have had some success running against us. I'll be interested to see if we put some more meat on the field too, if we put an extra linebacker instead of this safety look. But what are you expecting to see Saturday night? Are you thinking, what's the line, 18 right now?
Last I saw was 17.5. That half point scares me a little bit. So if it's 18, it scares me a little more. But
it's 19 now on we picked it at minus 18 on when I picked my picks. That's what I have us for our official picks.
Okay.
Minus 19 now. It started at minus 16, so it's creeping up. Over under is only 57 though. But that could be up and down.
It's a little. I feel like we could cover easily, or it really depends how the beginning of the game goes, because we've given up the most points in the beginning of games this year, which I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. So if they're hanging around, it's like 10-7 or whatever.
10 at halftime.
Yeah, something like that. I could see them giving us a game. But if we go up big early, like if we, score right away, stop them, score right away, and it's 14-0 like that, which I could see happening. Mm-hmm. And then they're not built to come back the way that they're designed. So my gut tells me the way we played last week, and we got it seems to me, other than Henderson, we're going to be almost full strength coming in. I'm guessing the guys that sat out on defense, like you said, Hall, Proctor, and there was another DB. Was it McAllister?
McAllister sat to you.
Yeah. I'm guessing by what Day said. Of course, you don't really know what the hell's going on with him.
We are not transparent. That's what the one thing that annoys me about Day. You never know about injuries.
Be freaking nuts. Which, I mean, it can only be bad, like a negative thing strategically if you tell that type of stuff. So I get it, whatever. But yeah, my gut's telling me that we're going to come out strong and they're going to be trying to fight back, and we're going to win, like, I don't know, like 42-17, something like that.
42 would be nice against that defense and their style of play, which limits your possessions. Yeah. It's going to be interesting because we've really only seen the offense explode this one time, but we knew they were capable of it. That's what we expected to see all year. This will be a better defense, but a maybe worse offense than even Toledo has. So there's a good chance that we just shut them down and keep it and blow them out. Like 38-14 sounds pretty good to me. Just because I still don't know if I trust this offense to be totally like full go, but Wisconsin does have a bunch of injuries in the secondary. They may be without like 3 starters in their secondary. Which that's as you ask Utah, they were a really good defense until they came in with no DBs against us and gave up 500 yards passing and 48 points. So we could easily. I like your 42 now. Now I think about that. I'm gonna go with like 42 to 13 is what I'll go with.
And I've been waiting on Fleming's been my guy all the past 2 years. I've been waiting for him to break out, and he played. He played more snaps than Jackson, but he had like 4 catches and 2 touchdowns, and then
3 for 23 yards and 2 touchdowns. But they were nice touchdown catches too.
Oh
like sideline.
They were nasty catches. They were better than Marvin's probably. And his
on my my 2 bold predictions, both looked a lot better after last week with our best offense ever, which it wasn't on pace for, and now statistically it's back on pace. Yeah. And then Marvin Harrison, my more bold one though, Marvin Harrison Jr. breaking the touchdown record, already at 5 now. He's on pace to do it.
Way over pace.
Yeah, he's on pace for like 20.
Yeah, but way over. But he needs to get at least one every game to get your record though.
He's gonna get one of those floaters in the end zone like every single game. They're gonna at least throw 2 to him, and he's gonna catch one of them at least.
But that's what I'm interested to see. Like Ibuka has been playing crazy, and Fleming hasn't. He hasn't played as much, but they were battling it out preseason for that 3rd spot, and I thought Fleming had the edge coming into the year, and then he hurt. So that'll be interesting to see moving forward how that goes. But man, can you imagine just that defensive coordinator? I mean, he's a good coach, but we're like 5-6 deep, like awesome receivers, like not just some guy. You have to plan for all of them.
You can't go man to man against us. Like you just can't. You're gonna lose. Because then you got to get home on the blitz, and we pass protected really well this year, and CJ's also really slippery back there. Yeah. So you're risking a lot when you do that, because then if he's running free and guys break. And that's what Ohio State, so Brian Hartline teaches as good as anybody is scramble drills. When you start, you don't ever quit running a route downfield. You come back to the quarterback, whatever. They're excellent at that. There's no weaknesses in this passing game at the moment at all. Cade Stover's, like I said last week, he's a freaking animal when he gets the ball.
I was about to say, too, man, you can't – if you're going to game plan for all these receivers, Stover's easily a guy to forget about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're not game planning for him when you got all these receivers.
You shouldn't. I mean, if they're only going to throw it to him 3 times anyway, just take your medicine when they throw it to him.
Those 2 or 3 times – could go for 40, 50 yards, and he should have had a touchdown. That was Stroud's worst pass of the season, probably.
Harrison's about a grand total of 2 inches away from 2 more touchdowns this year.
He got screwed out of. Yeah, he had 2 more touchdowns. What's the one you're talking about in Toledo?
When he stepped out of bounds, barely. He dove. They almost called it a touchdown initially.
Oh, And then
he was about an inch out of bounds there when he stepped, because he dove across, but he stepped out of bounds at the 3 by an inch. And then when he crossed the line against Arkansas State, and they called it not a catch, even though it was a catch.
Absolutely a touchdown. Play's dead when he crossed the freaking plane.
Yep, as soon as he breaks the plane.
It's over. It doesn't matter what happens. He could
it's so stupid.
Fall into the stands, and it's a touchdown.
If a guy catches it and does something with the ball, like manipulates it, he's caught it. That's
it's
like
Clemson
literally catching.
All over, and we can talk about that, but whatever.
It's okay. So we both think Ohio State covers. What do you think about the over/under though?
What?
57.
So I said 42-17. Jesus. Whew.
You're at 59. Yeah.
Yeah,
I said 42-13, so I'm at 55. Oh man, I don't know. This is a really good one. This is a really good over/under.
I guess my score says over, but I would say under, because I think 42 might be the most we're going to score. Mm-hmm. And I could definitely see them scoring less than 17.
They did against Washington State. They only scored 14, but
yeah,
they always throw a little extra. Trying to think of our most recent games, none of them have crossed that plateau.
Yeah,
I'll go under. Yeah, I'll go under.
38-13. Is that the first score you said too?
I said 42-13.
Yeah, so I think 42 might be the max that we're going to get, which means to hit the over. What'd you say it was again?
57.
57. So, yeah, that's tough. So 42-14 would be just under. Yeah, that's tough. But I'm going to go under.
So you got covered. We both have the same this week. All right. Last week I went 2-0 again. I'm 4-2 now on the season. 2 back-to-back 2-0 weeks calling the Ohio State spread and over/under.
My 500?
No, I think you're 2-4.
Okay.
You split last week. You had the under but the cover.
0-2 in the first week. Yeah.
It's tough.
So I've been over/under every week.
It is, especially when they make a good one. This is a good one this week. This is a really good one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good lines. Wait, when we do this gambling one, there's a lot of good lines. They're tricky. I had to scrounge around to find some good ones. But that's our preview for this Ohio State-Wisconsin game. Go watch the Buckeyes. Wear your black if you're going there, Jason. He'll be there in the stadium. The Haas will. But for the Dyerwolf and I, that's it for this one. We'll see you guys real shortly as we get our sports betting or our college football betting week 4 preview out. Like us, subscribe, follow us on social media, Twitter at View from CDEC, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey guys! Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.